And welcome into another edition of Inside Training Camp. I'm Jenna Harner here on the campus of St. Vincent College. Steelers training camp in its second full week now. And of course, the excitement on Monday. The pads go on for the first time. The intensity ratcheted up out on the field. It wasn't a crazy intense first padded practice by any means, but a lot of the players still feeling a lot of that juice, really excited to work through some of those first super physical reps that we've seen and grown accustomed to over the years. But there's a process to everything we're learning that new head coach Mike McCarthy does. He spoke with us ahead of practice Monday morning and got a glimpse into what this week could look like and his thoughts on the safety depth of this team.
We're still in a restricted mode. It's 105 minutes. Today's ramp up. Today and tomorrow will be limited time on the field. But yeah, definitely a chance to get into the pads. Get the padded individual work. Special teams work. A little bit of combination, and then we'll stay with the team periods that we've been working. So I just want to get as much done as I can today in the 105 minutes. But yes, this is. Everybody looks forward to today.
You guys added Rayshon Jenkins. What attracted you to him, and how do you envision him fitting in?
Well, I think number one, a lot of respect for what he's done in this league, and I think just like anything this time of year, your roster. I mean, it's always ongoing. These discussions have been fluid. Frankly, his style of play fits the way we want to play, and veteran additions this time of year. You're fortunate. I've always looked at it that way, and I'm anxious to see him out there.
Mike, are you a backs all backers guy?
I'm sorry?
Are you a backs all backers guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time, with Darnell Savage, why didn't things work out with him?
Well, I just think number one, he came fighting back, from his injury and so forth. And there's different types of things that you look for, as far as not only just on the defense but special teams. So we gave him an opportunity, and we just felt that we wanted to move forward and give Jenkins an opportunity.
Behind Deshaun Elliott and Jaquan Brisker, you guys have tried a number of different safeties and elevated roles dating back to OTAs. What's been your evaluation of some of those other guys like Robert Spears, Jennings, or Jack Henderson, Castro? Well,
number one, I think when you look at them, you look at the whole body of work, and they play all four downs, specifically with special teams. But this is, the jury's already hit. This is the day you want to see. I think they've done an outstanding job. Their energy, their understanding. I'm excited about these guys, but these next 2 weeks are huge, and to get that first preseason game under our belt. So, but we're looking for, I'm looking for combinations. We talked a little bit about this with the offensive line group. It's very evident also in the back end. You don't just line up and play straight nickel or straight base as much. You have different matchup personnel groups and ability to have three safeties on the field versus four corners, all those things. So you want to have as much flexibility within your scheme to utilize personnel, because this game eventually comes down to matchup. Particularly today, emphasis will illustrate that, because today's emphasis is third down and fourth down. So you'll see us start working those situations, and the tendencies really since the fourth down has become so prominent. The trends of the league, sub personnel groups, particularly combinations in those areas, are something that we need a lot of work on.
Mike, I know you haven't seen Joey out there, but you look at your cornerback group in general. You spoke the other day about Asante, but with Dale, how's that group going?
Yes, it's looking good. I think the depth, the young guys are the ones you really. That's frankly, there's a lot of reasons. Not only just the quarterbacks. I try to go, and I've actually gone almost every one when we get to the 2 spot to be around the younger players. So, but the corners, yes. I mean, you don't never. My history in training camp as a head coach, tight ends, corners, receivers. I mean, it's this training camp regiment, this practice structure. Those groups are stressed. So the numbers there are important, and so with that, creates more opportunity. So I think all those young guys will have an opportunity.
Mike, when you look at the safeties that accumulate in just the history that they're playing in this league, a lot of them play like more traditional strong safety roles, lining up in the box and in the slot, than necessarily the deep free safety roles. Is Is that a concern for you guys, or is that something that you think that they'd all be able to rotate between and be able to fill that deep safety role you call it?
No, I think you make an excellent point. I think it's, clearly some of the conversations we've been in as far as the range of our safeties, and then also that carries over to, Danny Crossman and how we're going to utilize those DBs on special teams. So yes, the point is well made. It's definitely something that we're looking at.
Mike, how come across as calm, cool, and collected?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You come across as calm, cool, and collected since day one in your has there been a moment yet where you kind of had to maybe light a fire into the team where they needed a little pep?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think just like anything, being in tune with everything, just the way they practice, I think our guys have hit the target. I think we checked every box from an operation, standpoint. The energy of practice, I think their pace has been really good for us being in our first year together. So the tempo, you see it on the clock. There's time periods. There's not just the fact you're trying to get done within that time. It's how fast you're getting in and out of the huddle, all those things. So this would be a big day in that area too, because usually when the pads slow down, there's a little more conversation, and we can't have any of that. We got to keep going. We want to stress that neurological clock, the nervous systems, and so forth. So, but yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm the guy that makes sure everything needs to look a certain way. When it doesn't look a certain way, then they'll be aware of it.
Now, of course, during training camp, a lot of emphasis, a lot of eyes and attention are on the rookies. We've been talking a lot about rookie wide receiver Jeremy Bernard. He continues to have a lot of strong practices throughout training camp here. We spoke with him a little bit later, I should say, last week, and got to really hear how he's been adjusting and adapting to everything, how he feels about his connection with Aaron Rodgers. But a lot of the focus, especially this week as the pads go on, we're on a rookie offensive lineman, Maxi Hanator, the Steelers' first-round pick that some people had questions with coming in, obviously knowing he's very new to the sport of football, only began playing it 5 years ago. We were really interested to see how he would look out on the field. And in the first day of pads, the rookie really impressed. He showed a lot of flashes as to why the Steelers drafted him in the first round. Very athletic, a lot of quick footwork. After practice on Monday, we had the chance to talk with Hanator, and he expressed how confident he was feeling in himself, but at the same time knows there is still a lot of work to be done.
Just get the job done, whatever it's called, just go hard and finish.
What are some of the main points of emphasis they're trying to stress upon you early on here?
I'll definitely say just catching up to the speed, man. Everybody out here is pretty talented, so just being able to just have confidence and go out there and execute the play. I think since it started in the spring, obviously, OTAs coming out there, just executing the plays, not really as physical today at a physical standpoint, yes, but like every day we've been out here, we're just still getting work in. You can still focus on your foot, hands, and everything.
Is it different, like TJ Watt, a Hall of Famer, you get to block him, but when I know it's just a drill or something, than it was without pads on? Is it just different trying to block him or guys like that?
I mean, yeah, we tried. Well, they do a pretty good job on tempo when we're in pajamas, but today everybody was full go, so it was really fun getting to go against them. Yeah, I feel good, some goods, but always got to go back and watch the film, man. Can always find something to get better on.
Make strides since OTAs and minicamp up here the first week or so.
Yeah, 100%. Just catching up playbook, speed of the game. I'll definitely say in that part, yeah.
You understanding?
Everybody was flying around, playing fast, playing confident. It was fun.
What's the benefit for you of going against different types of rushers and different body types?
I'll definitely say just be myself. Go out there confident, but know your rushers, know their main moves. But just go out there and play fast. Don't overthink whoever's in front of you. Different people lined up. Just go out there and play fast.
And they've all been there, done that, whether it's 1 year for Jack or 3 for Nick, or going on a decade for TJ. How much feedback do you get from those guys and them trying to coach you through it after?
Nick does a good job trying to just always at the end of play or after just trying to talk to me what he sees. Same with Jack too. Everybody just try to give their feedback. But we don't really talk that much. We haven't really got to really get connected on that part yet.
How much do you take your choice Ray at all? Because he was the guy who last year. How much do you guys talk?
Troy?
Yeah, Troy Potts.
Troy does a phenomenal job. I sit next to him in the meetings, just always picking his brain. He's going on year 3. He's seen a lot more than me, played more. So just always picking his brain on everything, just asking the little questions, getting his feedback on it.
And of course, we are out here on the field every day for practice, watching things closely, keeping an eye on the rotations, who's with the first team, who's with the second team, any potential injuries, of course, that we are watching. And we're watching it with some analysts. I spoke with Chris Carter from the Locked On Steelers podcast and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette to break down what we've seen so far through these first few padded practices of training camp. And Chris, we are back here at St. Vincent College.
We are.
It's the first full padded practice, first week of pads, I should say. And you could sense the excitement among the players. Mason McCormick telling me on Monday it felt like Christmas out there. These guys looked for this for all summer. They looked forward to this moment. But it's been interesting, and I don't know if you've caught this too, but we're really, I know last week we talked about Mike McCarthy's little bit like methodic approach, and I think we're seeing that because ahead of practice on Monday, McCarthy said, hey, yes, the pads are on, the excitement is there, but we're still ramping up. We're still not quite there yet. Thursday is really going to be that big, what he called that first true practice of training camp. But we're kind of seeing his reasoning behind why he does certain things.
It is interesting because, Jenna, we talked about this last week. We've still seen so many more individual drills, so many more focusing on let's just get this part done. It was so interesting after, the initial stretches and the initial individuals when they finally went to the first full 11-on-11 padded team session, and I could hear the buzz in the crowd behind us being like, all right, and Cam Hayward like high-five somebody, and people were like, whoa, let's go. And then it was just a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And people were like, wait, what? And like a pass was thrown right to Asante Samuel. He kind of just let it slip by. And people were like, what's going on here? It's a different vibe here at Steelers training camp. They are not competing as much. Mike McCarthy did not say that he was doing backs on backers today, but did say he's absolutely a backs on backers guy. But we haven't seen backs on backers yet. Jalen Warren thought that he was going to do some backs on backers. He also talked over the weekend about how these practices are more lax. And I know some people out there saying that practices are more juiced. That's not how the players feel, and that's not how the people covering the team every day feel.
No, I completely agree with you. I think there's a noticeable pace, of course, to practice, but I think there is such a very specific focus on a lot of situational things. And talking with Pat Freiermuth after practice on Monday, that's something he mentioned as well. He said this is some of the most situational work he's ever done in his career, which I found that was a very interesting point because of just the way that, again, we're kind of seeing into Mike McCarthy's brain a little bit and what he wants to accomplish here with all these guys in the 2.5, 3 weeks they have here at St. Vincent College.
It is very clear, Jenna, that Mike McCarthy wants to make sure that his team is ready for certain scenarios specifically, and that he's willing to sacrifice the necessary competitive edge work that they need to that normally the Steelers have done for the last 20 years under Tomlin and even under Cowher, from what I understood about how his practices worked. But he's willing to sacrifice that and think they'll make that up in their own competitive fight and spirit. I want to work on tightening up these little details and technicalities right here and right now. And here's the other part of this. We have not seen a training camp fight yet. And that's not to say that, you want to see fights, but that competitive nature, that's what brings these fights out.
Yeah.
And players want to kind of go at each other. And that's oftentimes how you kind of find yourselves as a team sometimes, when you can push the other guy, and you may not like each other, but you respect each other, and then that's how you kind of grow from there. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen guys really go all out even in this padded practice.
Yeah.
It was very limited as far as the physicality, what could be expected there. Now, there's two ways this could go. A, the team could be fresher. The team could go into the later part of the season and if they're in a playoff push, maybe there's less injuries. Maybe guys aren't as worn down and they feel maybe there's a little more pep in their step. And maybe some of those December losses the Steelers have suffered in recent years turn into December wins, and maybe they get a playoff win. There's also the flip side, Jenna, that they don't get there because they lost too many games early on, because they don't have that competitive edge that did win them so many close games over the years.
And that's something, again, that was such a hallmark under Mike Tomlin that we saw, where, they felt like they were, for the majority of the games they're in, always in those games. It came down to that last drive, the defense making a stand, the offense having to go score that final touchdown. So it will be interesting to kind of see just the different changes in dynamic now as the season progresses and as we get to those points, not only early in the season, but late December. There was some competition, though. I will say
was.
there definitely was competition, especially we saw our first true pass protection drills. And watching those were, one, incredibly exciting because we're seeing some of the new guys, some of the rookies work in there. You're seeing TJ Watt on both sides. I don't know if he
flipped around.
He was so excited that he comes off, he says, I'm winning reps on both sides, as you would expect from TJ Watt. But you could sense that excitement from him. What did you notice in those drills? Who was someone that you saw was a clear winner on the day and going into the week here?
I'll talk about two guys that are a duo who came into this team at the same time and are looking like best buddies. Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick.
Yeah.
Zach Frazier, the center out of West Virginia, he is killing it. There were one of the earliest reps I noticed in pass protection was against Keanu Benton, on a key interior defensive lineman, and a really good one who beat a lot of people later in this practice.
He looked good.
He looked so good. His first rep, he gets an initial sort of swim move on Zach Frazier and starts to win, but Zach recovers, gets him, and rides him out, and he wins that rep. But then they're allowed to repeat and go back at it again, and the next time, Zach doesn't even let him get his first move off. He shuts it down. I did not see a single person beat him or Mason McCormick, who also had a really good practice, and to me, those two in the middle of the offensive line, if they can be a 1-2 punch that sets off the run game and does a great job at connecting the interior pass protection game, that's going to do so much for Aaron Rodgers and this offense. So to me, that was one big thing I took away was the interior offensive linemen, they're doing a great job. And
another guy in the conversation there, Maxi Hanator, as a rookie. Obviously, we were wondering what we were going to see from the youngster. This is that first, again, the first day in pads is really when you can start to evaluate some of the offensive linemen. They're doing more work than just the football in shorts. He looked good to me.
He did.
He looked like a first-round draft pick.
Yes, and I thought what you saw from Maxi Hunter was what made him a first-round draft pick, and that was his footwork. Even in reps where he lost, there was one play where I think Nick Herbig used like a rip move and got inside on him, and anytime an edge rusher gets inside of an offensive tackle, that's a loss. But I saw Maxi Hanator recover so quickly with his feet, and he still lost the rep, but to be able to get his feet to a point where he could at least get in the way, I was impressed with that. And then when he went up against other guys, Alex Highsmith, Herbig on other reps, TJ Watt, he didn't always win, but his feet were keeping him in such a good position. Once he puts his hands together, with his size, his athleticism, and his footwork, Maxi Hanator could be a problem. I still don't know if he starts to start off the season. I still think that's Dylan Cook's job, and maybe Broderick Jones works his way into that. But I liked what I saw on day one of just pads and pass protection. We still got to do run blocking. We still got to do all of it. We got to see different things. We also have to see how things work out over time. Because TJ Watt, what's funny is TJ Watt was winning all those reps. I could tell he was going like 3/4 speed.
100%. He was not full speed.
Yeah, there was one rep where he like won and like he like stopped midway through because he's like, I'm already doing this. And I'm like, that's a great sign for Steelers fans, because if TJ Watt is doing that at that level here and he's fresh going into the season, that could make for him getting back to that, elite tier edge rusher level.
And that's something obviously last season did not go the way that TJ Watt wants to go. So when you look at things a little bit more big picture, you want TJ Watt to come in and have the season that he didn't get to have last year. And it has been a little bit of a down, or last year was a down season. There's been kind of a little bit of an up and down trend with him, where I think since he won the Defensive Player of the Year 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't want to say he fully hasn't been his same self, but injuries have kind of been nagging and have been a big part of what has caused some of those down seasons we've seen in the last couple of years.
I mean, they've robbed games from him. You go back to last year and granted last year wasn't really an injury; it was an unfortunate accident. But the Bills playoff game got an injury in that Ravens game, and granted that was a freak injury that if he wasn't if he wasn't having a tough season, like that would have taken out anybody if they were the healthiest person ever. So he's had some rough breaks, but if he can come back and be that elite edge rusher that he has been 2-3 years ago, because I think 2 years ago he was still like really, really good, but he had some injuries, so that kind of kept him back. But if he can get back to where he was in 21 and 22, 23, like that's where I think the Steelers are like, if we get that version of him back, or not 22 because he was hurt that year, but like 21, 23, his all-pro years, that's going to set so much else up for the defense. So impressed by him, impressed by Nick Herbig, who also did a really good job. I'll also say on the D line, Derek Harmon, a force. That guy, he took over so many of those reps. I'm going to be very excited to see him lining up next to Cam Hayward a lot in those nickel defenses this team's going to run. We're talking about how these practices are a bit more lax and they are laid back. But there's those glimpses where, like, man, if we could let's just open that up a little bit more, see a little more into how these guys want to get nasty and want to get mean like they will in a game. That's the excitement that I had to say, like, there could be something really fun to watch this year with the Steelers. And
I want to stay on defense here, too, because there has been so much that's been made about this outside linebacker rotation between Watt, between Nick Herbig, and between Alex Highsmith. And I think with the freshness part of it, too, that we were talking about earlier, I think that is going to be a big reason. If those three guys can stay healthy, I think we're going to see that extended into the later portions of the season. Obviously, you never know entirely what can happen, but I think just the constant rotation of all of them is going to take some things off TJ Watt's plate, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not necessarily. I agree, because I wrote about this in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette maybe a few weeks ago, but looking at the snap differences from year to year, when Nick Herbig was a rookie, it was like several hundred differences between TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and then Nick Herbig. Then the next year it was a little bit better, and then like last year it was, Nick Herbig was much closer. I think TJ Watt still led by, I think, maybe like 150 snaps. I think TJ Watt may still have been the 900s overall snaps in the year, where I think that Herbig and Highsmith were more on like the 700s. I think the goal is for each of these guys to kind of hover around 750 to 800 snaps together. Not one player getting a bigger bulk, but a sense of, hey, all three of you guys are starters, all three of you guys are playmakers, all three of you guys are dangerous. So we're going to even out your reps, and like you said, that may take TJ Watt off the field if he plays, but you know what it also does? It makes it so that when he's on the field, he's less tired. And the Steelers, over the years, they had a strategy where they would try to preserve their starters in the way that they distributed reps throughout a game, so that in the like the mid part of the fourth quarter, that's when they're like, okay, we took you off, now it's time for you to go and take over a game. And there were times that really worked, but sometimes that can still wear you down and trying to do that process. But if there's this even distribution of snaps where everybody's contributing, that could be the fun part.
And as much as we're looking to learn about Mike McCarthy and just kind of how he operates, we're also really focusing on Patrick Graham and what this defense is going to look like. There has been so much rotation. That's something that I've noticed immediately, where we're trying to figure out, okay, who's working with the second team, who's here, and guys are subbing in and out. They're coming on the field with such pace. What have you learned in these few weeks that we've had here, now that we've gotten to see this defense kind of really coming together the way that it's been?
The moving parts are going to be a big part of what Patrick Graham does, because he wants to keep the offense guessing about where guys are and what their actual responsibilities are. It is very difficult for me to assess who is playing strong or free in the traditional sense in watching their pre-snap. In fact, your husband Mike and I, we were talking about it during practice. We're like, who's doing what here? I don't know. And then sometimes it's none of the safeties are playing back. It's the corners that go back. And I like the idea of it, but I do question overall, at some point, it's cool to have all that versatility, but you need an ace guy to be back deep, covering the middle part of the field, who can take away a deep ball and not let the other team get the big play off. Because, and I asked Mike McCarthy about this actually this morning. I asked, hey Mike, Jaquan Brisker, Rayshon Jenkins, who they just got, Deshaun Elliott, and even if you threw in Jalen Ramsey, and I didn't even go that, all those guys at the most experience that they've had is closer to the line of scrimmage. Strong safety, box, dime backers. And Jaquan Brisker, yes, he played some free safety, but his best reps were in the box, were in strong safety. When he was in free safety, that's where in Chicago they were like, okay, we don't necessarily need him out here, and we didn't want to resign him. So for me, this team still needs a free safety. And Mike McCarthy kind of admitted that. He said, we're still looking. And so I would not be shocked if there's another addition between now and the start of the season that gets them a more traditional deep safety guy who's also flexible, because the point that Mike McCarthy also made in saying that is all of those guys can help on special teams, and I think that's what he's really looking for.
And that could be one of those moves that comes around the cut-down day mark, when teams are getting rid of guys, and hey, maybe they have a little bit of surplus there, and the third-string guy there could be a perfect fit here into what the Steelers are looking to do. Mike McCarthy also gave a little bit of a health update on Deshaun Elliott, because I've been very intrigued as we've been watching things. He has been working in and out, but he hasn't gone through a full 100% practice yet. I asked McCarthy about that, and he said, hey, they're still being smart. They're still being diligent. He is still working his way back from that injury from a season ago. And it seems like he's going to be fully ready for the season. That's obviously what Omar Khan had said at the combine time. I was a little initially worried. I think that quelled a lot of people's initial, hey, what's going on here with Deshaun Elliott? They're just ramping him back up to speed, and they're not feeling rushed like they have to.
They're not feeling rushed. I think the thing that people might be concerned about is though that they thought that would have been the spring. That would have been leading up to training camp. But that would have been last week of training camp, and that it's still going on. I think it's good that they're taking their time and that they're being. But I think what everyone also wants to see is Deshaun Elliott at full strength. What does that look like in this defense? Because, you know, Deshaun Elliott, I don't want him playing deep safety. I don't want him playing in the post as much. I want him prowling the interior of the field. I want him hitting tight ends over the middle. I want him coming up to fill the run. I want him, you know, bumping slot receivers. I want that physicality closer to the line of scrimmage. And if I'm rotating him back deep as part of that rotation, I'm taking him out of his element. But that's the thing. If I'm not taking him out of his element, I'm taking Jaquan Brisker out of his element. I'm taking Rayshawn Jenkins out of his element. That's the big question that I think the Steelers have to answer with their safety and all these moving parts that Patrick Graham's putting together. It could kind of get torn apart if they don't figure that out at some point.
The division of labor among the running backs is also going to be something that we are going to be keeping a close eye on throughout the season. It really does seem, at least as of right now, that there is a true split between the reps between Jaylen Warren and Rico Dowdle, who came in this offseason. Of course, Dowdle working under Mike McCarthy when the two were in Dallas. They have had about a 50-50 rep split, and it seems every day, you know, Dowdle works with the ones one day, the next day it's Jaylen Warren working in with the first team. Their reps have been pretty split. But after practice on Monday, we spoke with Jaylen Warren, and we got some insight into how he's feeling, where he's at, and what he's noticed so far about this training camp under a new head coach.
I know there's no tackling, but is the physicality still there? Do you still feel like it's a physical practice?
Yeah. I mean, it was physical when we were able to hit.
Right.
We were able to hit. That's when, you know, that's my favorite part of the day.
Is it harder to train your body for that, or to remind yourself that, hey, this isn't full contact as far as tackling is concerned?
Yeah, which is why, like, you'll see guys on the floor a lot, you know, because it's a competitive period. And so everybody's, you know, just hyped up, psyched up and ready to go, first day of pads. And that's why people end up on the ground.
Kind of in that same vein, just how do you describe the energy inside?
It was cool. I liked it. I enjoyed it. You know, like I said, I've been waiting for the pass to get on. I was excited.
It was kind of interesting when we talked with Mike McCarthy this morning. He kind of mentioned, you know, how it's still, yes, the pads are on, but it's still kind of this ramp up.
Yeah, still some restriction.
Do you notice a little bit of kind of the process of, like, the way he's laying things out, where every day it seems like you're introducing things a little bit more?
Yeah. Like, we didn't just jump into, you know, all the contact and stuff. Like, even at the beginning of practice, it was still a little walkthrough. And so it's different from what I'm used to, but I'm trusting it, and I'm excited for what the future has for us.
What's it been like working with Rico?
It's been good. Great addition to us. He's definitely a dude, and I'm excited to work with him.
And thank you so much for joining us here on Inside Training Camp. We will continue to bring you the latest from St. Vincent College, all of the updates, who's working in with the first team, any potential injuries, of course. Stick with us. We'll see you next time on Inside Training Camp.